Wow. Welcome, Paradigm Shifters, to January. Yes. Yes. January 2023. Vibrantly free in 2023. How do you like that, Lori?
Love it. I receive it. I receive it.
Receive vibrantly free in
I
2023.
receive it. I love that. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, Paradigm Shifters, we're a dedicated, glowing, growing community dedicated to shift and uplift the planet. The entire planet. And right now, boy, we've grown since we've seen you last. We're a little over 1,500 with 56 countries and spreading the good news, the whatever it is, the shifting. So our topic for January is peace.
I love that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, peace that passes all understanding and that connection. So I love the fact that you're here, Lori, and I'm going to read a little bit about you and then turn this over here.
Okay.
There we go. So welcome, Lori Harris, my good friends. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Lori is a certified strategic coach, and she can help you design and manifest a life that's, I love this word, in harmony with your soul's purpose. Lori is a graduate of Chapman University and California Western School of Law. She received her coaching certification and training from the Brave Thinking Institute. Now, for over 7 years, Lori has worked with highly successful Black women who are C-suite executives, helping them build their dreams, accelerate their results, and create richer, fulfilling lives. I love this, Lori. I did not know this, that you're the creator of Gratitude Train app. I've got to do that. And that's on Google Play, and the podcast, Unlock Your Life with Lori Harris. I love this. So a lawyer for over 30 years, Lori started her professional career as a litigator and is a recognized expert in the area of juvenile justice. They're my passions. She has appeared on PBS, NPR, and shared the stage with world-renowned teachers such as Mary Morrissey, Les Brown, Gay Hendricks, and Lisa Nichols. As a sought-after life coach and professional speaker, Lori offers inspiring workshops to sold-out audience around the country, as well as transformational in-depth coaching programs that help clients achieve new heights of success, meaning, and I love this, spiritual aliveness. Most recently, Lori worked with the staff of Martin Luther King Hospital's outpatient division and Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. Lori was recently recognized as the Coach of the Year from a pool of over 4,000 applicants. I was so grateful to be there too. So with that, Lori, I'm going to turn this over to you and just tell us where you are physically right now.
Well, physically, I am
everything else. Yeah, go for it.
I'm in Southern California. I normally spend the majority of my time in Los Angeles. I do have a house in the woods that I love very much in Crestline. But today I'm in my childhood home. This is my room that I grew up in, and this is located in Riverside, California. So my father was in the military and he retired in Riverside. And this is where I graduated from high school, and my family built a life after traveling around for over 20 years.
Wow. Well, tell us some more about yourself and how this whole idea of peace in in the world. But I want to know what you're doing now, and yeah, let's go.
Well, I'm happy to speak with you about this. I think, I really love people, and I have since I was a little girl. I was raised in a traditional Christian household we understood Christian values, in the way of walking the way of Jesus and receiving the message of Jesus as a teacher. And very young, I understood our obligation and duty and privilege to care for one another. And I took that on as a little girl, as a child. And, you get beat up by life and people tell you, oh, you can't live like that. Oh, you can't do that. And so I went in another direction for many years in my adult life. And I considered myself a community organizer and a activist. And I did a lot of community work, but it was all with the energy of a fight.
Oh,
A fight, fight for your rights, fight to get what you want, fight, fight, fight. And to be kind of a warrior and to want to go for what you want from the point of view of someone doesn't want you to have it, so you have to fight to get it. And there's very much that energy when you work as a litigator, right? There's a principal and there's opposing counsel and then you, and you're going to fight it out in front of a fact finder. And you're trying to fight for someone's attention, fight for someone to see things from your point of view, fight to win. And there's certainly that part of me, but it's not the part of me that I celebrate most often. And even as a litigator, my goal was to be in congruity with my own spirit. And so I love to love people. And so I would go into a courtroom, infusing that courtroom with love. And hopefully a jury or a judge would come to my point of view first because we're connected energetically and that they understand where I'm coming from and that they can trust me. And so that worked for me. And working in the criminal justice arena, I had lots of relationships with lots of people. And I love peace. I worked as an activist for peace for many years. And then as I got older and things happened in my life and around my life, I was looking for another way to approach success, approach my life. And so, that oftentimes when we have these, what looks like a big birthday, a 0 or a 5, or we have a major life change, it causes us to reflect. And I reflected and I said, I don't really want to fight. I really want to just come from love all the time, 100%. And being introduced to a different way of approaching getting what you want really helped me because my training is to come from love. And so there's a lot of elements and things to understand, but that first thing of we're working in harmony with the universe. And the more that we can do that and recognize our own love and divinity within us and let that radiate out, that we bring peace within ourselves, right? And then coming from a peaceful place, we radiate that out and we generate more peace. And I really believe that everything starts first with making that decision of what kind of world do you want to have? What kind of world do you want to have? And then what are the qualities in a human being that exhibit that? And then be that. And so there have been times in my life when I have been frustrated with a person or an institution, and I've had to remind myself, it starts first with me. And then I have to look at myself and look at my own behaviors and my own thoughts and say, oh yeah, it starts first with you. And it's a constant thing, but it's something that gives me great joy and inner peace.
Wow. That is so true. So do you believe we could come from love all the time? Tell me when you were coming from love when every ounce if you did not. And I know you worked with the juvenile justice system, and which is one of my passions. And what did you see there? The paradigm shifters is about generational healing, and I've been focusing and have this, I don't want to say worry, but this focus on the generations, and especially the kids that get caught in that juvenile justice system.
Sure. Well, I would say that 2022 was a tumultuous year for me. And I was considering, what is it that I want? What do I want for myself? And the truth is, I have a strong desire for an intimate, strong, romantic relationship. And it caused me to really think about, well, how might that happen for me? Who do I need to be? What can I do to bring that toward me? And so I looked at a lot of my behaviors, and I had a consultation with someone, and they told me that they were of the belief that the experience that I'd had up until that point was a reflection of repeating patterns that existed within my family line for generations. For several generations, I was repeating a pattern that had come before me, and I was playing it out. However, this recognition was an opportunity for me to do a pattern interrupt and to stop that. And so I considered that, and I took that on. And people will often say, you have to love yourself before you can be in relationship with anyone else effectively. And I truly thought that I knew what that meant. But as I continue this journey of life, I'm realizing there's so many layers to it. It's like a budding flower, and it just keeps revealing itself to me. And what I've been telling people is, what I've learned is I'm in a quest for truth. And I want to know the truth, realize the truth, acknowledge the truth, and move on. In regard to the juvenile justice system, I saw many people who had experienced a lot of different traumas from a lot of different places. And they come before the court, exposed to the court, and they really do want help. And they want love and understanding. Some courts are not well built for that. Some aspire to provide it. And then even with the desire to provide it, we realize there are some limitations within the confines of the legal system as we know it now. But it gives us the opportunity to see what's not working. So oftentimes I would tell my kids, yeah, the judge loves you, and the judge would love to have something else that they could do to resolve your case. But we're dealing with a limited menu here, and the judge can only choose from what's on the menu. And the kids can understand that. They don't like it, and I don't like it. None of us like it. But only by recognizing, oh, this is not working, I need another tool. Only when we can collectively recognize that can we make a change. So there's a bit of an addiction in our country to using the carceral method for responding to wrongdoing. And only recently, and when I say only now, I don't mean like this moment, because now is very relative. And it really is the last 20 years. But there's this desire to say, what we're doing is not working, let's try something else. And then there's the fear of, but what do we do? What if we make a mistake? What if it makes it worse? It might, but what if it made it better? Or what if we learn something new? Let's try something different. And And I love being a part of that. So even before I was a coach, I was already using the tools that I learned in coaching to share with my clients so that they could have a better experience. A person who's recently arrested, if they allow themselves to go off the path of fear, they're not in the best mindset to make decisions or to help their lawyer. And so the first thing I need to do is just be with them and help them to calm their breath. And then when they realize, oh, I can calm myself, it's a very powerful thing. And so I've been sharing that with my clients for years. For my own purposes, I need them to calm down so I can get some work done. But it's another way in to help them to realize, I love you. I want you to feel good now, right this minute. Let's do something right this minute so that you can feel good. So peace is not out there. It's not somewhere else. It's with us. And it starts with us making the decision to be peaceful. You don't have to be perfect. You are going to have missteps. You're going to set an intention and it's not going to go the way that you actually want it to go. But in setting the intention and knowing the lack of congruence there, then that's where you can shift it. And so you look at it, and you're like, this is not how I want it to go. This is not who I want to be. This is not how I want to interact with this person. And so you just notice, and then the next step, you can try to shift just a little bit. And so we can start with our language. We can use more peaceful language. We can catch ourselves in not repeating and digging deeper into a level that we don't want to be. So let's just pretend that you and I are in conflict. And I'm really upset with you, Judy. But I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm trying to calm myself down and just be cordial and nice with you. But I'm really upset with you. And so in order for me to manage myself, rather than talk to you, I talked to my friend over here, Sally. Now, what it seems like I'm doing in that moment is letting off a little steam. I'm venting so that I can come back. But the reality is that I'm digging a further hole into that negative experience that I don't want. And so when Susie allows me to have that conversation with her, she's also nurturing that seed. And so it's a challenging thing. But that's where the growth is when you recognize, oh, this is not who I want to be. And even though I'm not talking to Judy about how upset I am with her or being unkind to Judy because I'm upset with her, I'm still doing harm to the harmony of the community by talking to Susie. So I need to come back to myself, and maybe you do a brain dump into your journal and say, I'm so angry with Judy. She knows how much this means to me, blah, 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 blah. And you get it out. You allow yourself to get it out. I'm not, telling you, oh, it's always going to be perfect and you're always going to have great relationships with people. But you can decide to be peaceful. And then once you get it all out, then maybe you'll see, well, some of that's not really true. I might feel that way, but I don't think Judy actually did the things that I wrote in this paper. What she actually did was not nearly as bad as what I'm making it to be. And then you can just edge away from it a little bit. And then, maybe you're in relationship with someone with whom at this moment you can't gel. That's not your moment to be together. And you can peacefully remove yourself from that situation without being unkind, or causing more drama in the space. So you don't have to have peace in another land. You don't have to go far away to affect the equilibrium of the planet. Be peaceful in your own home. Be peaceful within yourself. Be peaceful in your daily interactions. And, try to see it. Today I went to Starbucks and I pulled up in Starbucks and there was a police officer's car blocking another car. And so I was kind of looking, I looked over, and what I saw was a police officer changing a young woman's tire. That made me really happy. And as much as I see lots of things that are not pleasing in terms of police activity, I'm going to allow myself to celebrate. It's not everywhere, it's not everyone. And sometimes good things happen. And when I was a child, good things happened all the time for me. And still, it's more occasional, but still I have to leave myself open to see it. And I shared it with my daughter. And she said, wow, that's so cool. And I snapped a picture and then I went on about my day. But we generate that. And now I'm telling you about it. And then this is going to go out into the world. It's a ripple. And my whole practice, and I'm going to finish with this, my whole practice is I work with women who allow me to expand my ripple. So by myself, I can affect a number of people. And perhaps if I do group coaching, I can affect a greater number of people. But if I'm working with people who are also helping other people, my ripple is great. So I have a client who endeavors to change the health outcome. She started with 1 million. Now she's at, what did she say she's doing? I think she said it's 70 million. She's 70 million 10 years from now, improved outcomes. And, she scientifically looks at where are they now? Where do I want them to be? And so that I could not do that by myself, but with her, I'm having this impact, the potential impact for 70 million. I have another client who does philanthropy work, and she hits every area. And so she distributes millions and millions. I can't even tell you how many zeros, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to worthy causes and concerns. By myself, I can do nothing, but in community, I can do all things. And that's what I'm committed to. So I'm living a life that brings me joy, and I love being in service. And going back to the point of generations, I love it. I sit here before you today because somebody decided to survive and to find joy in the moment that they were and continue on. It may not have been good, it may have been ugly, but they decided to survive. And I stand here today because of that. And so when I tell you I'm looking for truth, I've been doing like my DNA search and all of the things. And I determined where my mom's side of the family, where my people are from. Now, oftentimes, if you talk to African-American people, they will tell you, well, I don't really know because of the history of chattel slavery in the United States. But there's another country, another company now that specializes in the DNA of African-American people. And when I tell you, I have experienced a healing like you would not believe. I am so grateful. But it's on this journey of truth and self-love. And so I am so grateful because someone decided that they can have joy in this moment and went on. My life is a result of an ecstatic miracle. My mother and father came together to create something out of nothing, out of true love. This I know for sure. And the same is true for their parents and for their parents before that. And so I've determined that I can document my history into the 1700s. And I can document my mother's line all the way to Sierra, the region known as Sierra Leone, and the people known as the Mende people. And when I do this, I'm looking for connection. I'm looking for where is the story still the same? And I'm seeing it, and I love it. And so it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I come from a powerful, powerful people that have survived and thrived. And for 7 generations before me and 7 generations ahead of me, I am affecting change.
Oh, I read what you wrote about your dad, and I wanted to ask you that, but I just want you to keep talking. You talked about your father, which is that one generation that's like before you. Could you just, for our listeners, tell that little bit of history about your dad?
My grandparents were born. My grandmother was born in 1898, and my grandfather was born, I think, 1880, around there. And they worked on land in South Carolina as sharecroppers. And at some point, the farm where they were working was destroyed by fire. And so the life as they knew it was over. And from that, they moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. So my father was born in 1937, and he worked as a sharecropper for the first 7 years of his life. And even though he was a child, this did happen. I know this for sure. And so then they moved to Cincinnati, and it's a city, but much of their life stayed the same. You know, it still kind of had a rural feel to it, even though it was a city, still kind of dirt roads and all that stuff. My grandmother grew all of their own vegetables in a local community garden. And when the winter came, she would continue that downstairs in the cellar. And so she would hang greens and hang them up and wrap them in newspaper to keep them going. So my mother died when she was, I young, she was 54, she died from a asthma attack. And in that community, the way it was set up, the regular ambulance didn't transport people of color. They didn't transport Black people. So you had to use the undertaker with the hearse to get to the hospital. But the local person who would have helped them was out of town helping another family take care of a funeral need. So my grandmother died unnecessarily because she just couldn't get to the hospital. So at that time, my father was 15 years old. And my grandmother was his very best friend. He had 7 brothers and sisters, and they all took it hard. But everyone says that my dad took it the hardest. And they said he walked around the streets of Cincinnati for 2 years. He just didn't go to school, didn't do anything. He was what I call bereft. He just walked. And walking can be very healing. Walking is quite meditative. And so he comes out of that and was like, I'm still here. I still have a life. I've got to do something. And he went into the Air Force, into the military. And from there, slowly but surely, he built a life. So he was 15 then. He first got his GED, then he went ahead and got his high school diploma. And you know how they say in the United States, if you go into the military, get your education and you can become anything you want. My dad was an education specialist, and you would come to him and tell him, what do you want to do with your life? And then he would sit down, look at your transcripts with you and say, okay, you need to take this class, do this thing, and you can be a nurse or you can be an engineer, and you can, and these are the steps. And so that's what my dad did. And he did that for 22 years. And then when he got out of the military, he's in his 30s. Can you imagine to be retired from a career in your 30s? And so he got out, and then they did the same thing for a university and did that for years. My dad was also a minister, and he had a couple of churches, which he loved. He loved God. He loved sharing God. But mostly, I would say my dad lived a life of service and really striving to be the things he talked about.
Yeah.
To be the person. And so, but when it was all over, my dad had 2 master's degrees and had helped thousands of people achieve their dreams.
This is so beautiful. And you're sitting right there in your childhood home in the bedroom where you grew up. This has been so, wow, it's just so awesome talking to you, and all of the feelings of how you've helped young people and generations, really see that with their breath, they can calm down. That was just amazing. That you've been doing this for a long time. And so what we'd like to do for you, for a community, is to what can we hold for you in your next phase of development? And there's so many more generations that are just yearning for you to keep that ripple. I love how you called it the ripple, the ripple, the ripple. What would you love to have us hold for you, Lori?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I would love for you to hold for me that I continue to grow in my awareness of those who came before me, and that I continue to be a shining example of what's good, and that I radiate light. And whenever anyone's in my presence or in my company, that they feel better and good, and that they feel hopeful for what's to come next. And if I could, I'd like to share the box breath with you.
Yes. Yes.
So what I want to remind you of is that when we are going to have difficult times or surprises or things that ignite us and might create some level of fear, but we can always return to our breath. And when we do that, we remind our body that it's okay. And we remind ourselves that we are not our bodies. We're something much more than that. And so with the box breath, what you want to do is breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out for 7. And then you're going to breathe in again for 4. Hold it for 4. And then release it for 7. Remember, you can always do this. It's just a matter of breathing, and you're going to breathe for 4, and then you're going to exhale, blowing out your lips like you're blowing through a straw for 7. So it's double what you did before. And you're sending signals to the parasympathetic nervous system. Everything, everywhere is already all right. I got this.
Thank you so much. Ah, feel very peaceful right now.
I love that for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lori. We so appreciate you and all that you do. And so we're going to send a wave of energy to you through the ears here. You ready for this?
Yes,
There you go. Got it?
I receive it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Lori. I love you so much. Aw.